Hi friend, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and today I want to talk about Tune 2 signs. So think about this for a second. If this is your first year doing a musical Christmas light display, you've probably gone out, you've researched, you've watched other people's shows, right? Maybe you've watched my shows, you've watched other videos here on Learn Christmas Lighting, other folks' videos, and you'll probably notice that pretty much anyone that has a musical display, if you're using the radio, of course FM, to transmit your music, then you need a sign. You need a way for people to know what to tune into. And so in this video, I want to show you some options that I've done, some things that other people do, and give you my opinion about what's the best for people in their very first year. When you're making a Tune 2 sign, there's a couple things that you want to think about, okay? First and foremost, it needs to be lit up at night, right? People need to be able to see the sign when they're watching your display, okay? Number two, you may, and I really do this, you may want to have it visible during the day, okay? Or maybe a combination of the two. So that if people drive by and they see all the lights in your house and the funny stuff in the yard, they're like, oh, that looks cool, I'll come back. Putting the sign out there is going to let them know they'll be able to tune in on their radio. Okay? So that's another thing to think about. And then what type of sign and how much effort do you want to put into it? At the end of the day, I'm all about, putting forth as little effort as I can and getting as many results as I possibly can out of them. And so the very first tune-in sign that I got, and the first sign that a lot of people get, is a simple Coroplastic Sign. Of course, here in the US this year, it is an election season, so we're seeing these things everywhere, right? And this is exactly the same thing. This one has a nice little thing at the top, listen to our lights, that's not our name, you can use that. Has the frequency, that's the most important, make that the biggest, and put the FM there so that people, know that it's radio. And then I had the times on it too, which I shouldn't have done. And I have some Christmassy stuff there, which I also shouldn't have done because then I can't change it. Okay, I am going to tape over that this year because we're going to end a little earlier, I think. So that was my first Tune 2 sign. The things that I like about a basic corrugated plastic sign is if you go buy it from somewhere, like I bought it from Vistaprint, they send you this actually really nice, thing to put it in your yard with. Literally, I could just go in, stomp down on this, it sticks it in the ground. It saw some pretty high winds. The first year I used it, we had a lot of wind and rain that year, and this thing rocks, okay, and they're really cheap. A sign like this is probably going to cost you, I think it was about $30. Went to Vistaprint.com, found a coupon code. They're always out there for Vistaprint, and, just sketch this thing out. They've got a creator there where you can just, put in some text, put in some symbols, whatever you want to do, say go, and then they make it, they ship it to you, usually within a couple of weeks, so you can get these pretty quick too. Okay, but the problem I had with this sign was, even with a light shining up on it in the night, it really didn't stand out from the rest of the display because the display's just bright and it's hitting you with color and light and movement, and there was nothing out of this thing. So I began to look at my options, and maybe you've done this too. And you're going to see out there a few things that a lot of people do. Some people use a matrix panel like this. Now this is at 2-inch. I would do your matrix panel, if you're doing it for a sign, at 1-inch. Okay, get those pixels as close as you can, and make it as large as you reasonably can. At least like 2 by 4, maybe bigger, so that you can see the text, you can scroll it, people have time to read it, and it's clear. Not my favorite option, but it's a better option, I think, than the LED panels. So you may have seen, I'll put a picture here, the LED panels that a lot of folks put outside for their Tune 2 signs. Okay, there's a guy actually who's, maybe it's a lady, I don't know, but it's probably a guy knowing this hobby, who's like a mile from me, who's got one out in his yard. And these are really cool because it's an LED sign. It scrolls the information. The pixels are really close together, so it looks good. But at the end of the day, I don't recommend them. Why's that? Well, they're a lot of fuss to put together. If you're going to go through the effort to put together a screen that's this big and waterproof it, you might as well, in this modern day, just buy a TV. And that's something you can do. You can buy a TV, you can set it up as what's called a virtual matrix, and you can sequence it within X-Lights, basically as a matrix of nodes. Okay? So I would really advise going that route. The P panel can work if you really want to do an odd shape, or, I like them when they look kind of cool when people put them in their windows. Of course, it's going to block your window, but the same would happen with a TV. So TVs and the P-type panels are probably the best looking digital sign that you can do, but they have the ugly backside that they're kind of a pain to put together, especially the P panels. They're kind of confusing. Once you get them done, they work, but then you have to waterproof them. These things aren't waterproof, unlike the pixels we use. All right, and so that means that you've got to make sure your enclosure is waterproof. And every year I see so many people, they thought their enclosure was waterproof, then it wasn't, then they had big issues. And, I just try to stay out of all that, right? So that's why you're not going to see them, at least for now, in my show. I'd love to see a waterproof version, but I know there's some design challenges there, though it is doable. So next from the P5 or P10 panels and the TVs is what I did next, which is a Shadowbox type design. Okay, so I did this for last year. And what it consists of is basically a sign here, that says tuned to 103 whatever my frequency is, 9 FM. And it was actually really simple to do. So this sign, I'll put up a picture of it here so I don't have to hold it. This sign is actually created out of corrugated plastic. And then I ordered from a website, I'll link to it below, just a laser cut PETG sheet. Okay? So PETG is basically something that people often use for stencils. It's what soda bottles are made out of. So we know that it's weatherproof. It can be outside. There's not going to be a problem there. Okay? So I ordered this. It got laser cut. Came to my house, and it was basically this PETG sheet cut out. I had all the cutouts. It was just, the sheet literally in these dimensions that I made the sign, and it's about 3 by 2. And then I had to pull out the pieces that I needed, and I just used self-adhesive strips basically to stick them to the corrugated plastic. So then, if I put lights, pixels in this case, behind it, they shine through. What I did was I built a simple frame out of wood. Literally just in half an hour. I just had some scrap pieces, cut them, nailed them together, called it good. Nailed the Coroplast on the front. On the back, I used a piece of just white. I would use white Coroplast, but I was being cheap, so I went to the Dollar Tree, got some foam core. It survived for a year, and I stapled that on the back. Inside, I put pixels, so I took them, and I just put them around the outside. You can actually see it here. So pixels are around the outside, pointing in. And the final project, when I light the pixels up at full versus the rest of my house, which is at like 50%, is it looks super nice. Because you go ahead and I took, oh, by the way, the PETG, I painted black. I spray painted that black, just cheap spray paint from Lowe's. And then I put it on the Coroplast, okay? So paint it black, then put it on the Coroplast, then we were ready to go. And it looks really nice at night. So I'd really recommend looking at a sign like this if you're looking for something that's cool and unique and different, but isn't that hard to build. I put this together in a few minutes. It was very inexpensive, just, 30 pixels. I just stapled them to the inside of the frame and, went ahead, bought the other stuff pretty cheap. Whatever you do, I think it's really important that you let people know how to tune into your display. Every year I hear about different people, even when they do have a tune-in sign, walking up to people out front who literally are listening to nothing. They've just got the radio off or they're listening to their own music. And they're like, oh, this light show's cool. And then the person making it says, no, wait, there's music. I don't want that to happen to you. Making a Tune To sign, or multiple, will make sure that everybody who watches your display will get the most out of it. Awesome. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe here for more Christmas light tips and tricks. And also, be sure to like this video and check out the rest of our channel here at Learn Christmas Lighting for more. Until then, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.